What's up, buddies? What Jim? And Jorba Brier's Music Showcase once again. And the first time guest on my channel, Nick from his channel, Townsend909. How are you both doing?
Doing great. Doing very good.
And we're going to be reviewing the George Harrison 1979 self-titled album. It's going to be the final episode of the Under the Radar series. For now on, when we talk about albums, I'm just going to call it Song Ranking and Review.
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, it's been good being on every episode.
And I've also, at the end of the live stream, I'll go ahead and rank all these albums that we've talked about in this Under the Radar series. But let's talk a bit about the George Harrison album before we go through each track. It's his 8th studio album, and it was released in February of 1979. It's on the Dark Horse label, and it's just under 40 minutes of the album. It had 3 singles from it: Being Blow Away, Love Comes to Everyone, and Faster. So I guess there's 10 tracks total. So I guess I might as well just get started with the first track, Love Comes to Everyone. So Nick will go first, then Bryer, and then myself.
Cool. Oh yeah, this is the big one for me. This one song, I always loved this song from the first time I heard it up until now. It's just a great song. I could totally see why it was a single for the album. I don't really hear that many Harrison fans talk about it as much as his other hits, like My Sweet Lord, Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth, and like even the You single from Extra Texture. I feel like people talk about that song more than this. It's very underrated. This whole album is extremely underrated for Harrison. Just in general, it's just a very underrated album. And this is a great mood starter for the album. It sets the mood very good.
Yeah, I totally agree. Definitely has a very carefree, very feel-good vibe to it. And of course, I was doing research going into this, but yeah, apparently a lot of this was recorded while George Harrison was kind of, he had a lot of stuff going behind the scenes. He had a divorce and all that stuff. And of course, he would meet Olivia, and they went out had a little vacation. And a lot of these songs were kind of written during that period where George was starting to feel good about himself now. And so it has there's like a level of contentment that you hear. And again, it just sounds very uplifting. The guitar work on here is really nice. Of course, Eric Clapton was involved in here, as well as Steve Winwood, who provides a lot of keyboards. And I think he adds a lot of great textures to the song as well. Just a really great melody. And yeah, I agree with Nick. A really great album opener.
Yeah, I agree as well. It's got excellent Eric Clapton guitar solo, sort of intro at the beginning of the song. And yeah, I think the song's it's got a very positive, uplifting sort of sound to it. It's definitely one of the catchiest songs on the album. It's got fantastic guitar work all around it, really. And yeah, I love the synthesizer by Steve Winwood. He does quite a lot of that throughout the album.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a fantastic way of starting this album. Then move on to the second track, Being Not Guilty.
This is a really good song too. Famously, this was had over 100 takes for the White Album. Ultimately, George Harrison was the one who decided it was not good enough to be on the White Album. Pretty interesting that it took him over 100 takes for him to realize that. Pretty funny, if you ask me. A lot of Harrison fans consider the White Album version to be the better of the two versions. I personally... It's got Siri.
Here's Peter Gabriel 4. Secure.
Sorry. I don't know
Okay.
What was that?
Peter Gabriel 4?
My Siri just popped up out of nowhere. I'm like, no, get away from me. Sorry about that. But
That's okay.
getting back to what I was talking about. No! Get away from me. You don't want to listen to Peter Gabriel. Sorry so
Well,
sorry.
yeah.
I mean, Peter Gabriel 4 is an underrated album in itself.
Sorry, being a bad guest.
That's all right.
Not guilty. See, I'm talking about George Harrison, and Siri wants me to listen to Peter Gabriel.
Don't worry, you're not guilty for that.
Okay, now for reals. Out of the two, I do prefer this version. It's a lot more laid back. I personally don't understand why there are not more people who agree with me on that. I feel like I'm like one of the very few people who prefer this version over the White Album version, but who knows? Maybe I have two other people who back up with me on that, but I don't know.
No, yeah, I also enjoy Not Guilty quite a bit. Again, it has a very jazzy sort of feel to it, very laid back type of jazz, which again I dig that sort of sound. And again, it's not like one of those songs that's like in your face, but again, it's just all about the textures within it. Getting some great guitar licks throughout on the keyboards, again adding that atmosphere, and some really great bass playing as well. And pretty much throughout this whole album, I think the bass playing is really great. So yeah, very good follow-up track.
Yeah, and I actually prefer this version as well of Not Guilty. I think it's a very relaxing song, and yeah, George of course wrote this in 1968.
Mm-hmm.
It's got one of the better guitar riffs I think from the album, and it's got a nice inclusion of the keyboard. And I love the vibe of the song as well. It's got quite a mysterious sort of vibe about it. So yeah. I think it's a great track. And then the third track on the album is "Here Comes the Sun." I mean, "Here Comes the Moon." I always get those two confused.
I know, right?
Yeah. "Here Comes the Moon."
I mean, in my opinion, well, we could all agree it's not as good as "Here Comes the Sun" by any means, but it is a pretty good track. I always thought it was cool in his solo career. Like 10 years after Abbey Road was made, he made a song called "Here Comes the Moon." Always thought that was a cool little callback, almost like, yeah, 10 years later, I'm still making a song about things coming. Here comes the sun now. Here comes the moon. I always thought that was cool. I think it's pretty good. Probably my least favorite on the album, if you ask me, but that doesn't take it away from it at all. I think it's still a really good track.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, this is another really song I really enjoyed. Again, kind of nice that this is kind of a semi sequel to "Here Comes the Sun." When I don't know, I'm just that's my own headcanon. But yeah, it's just I really like the vibe of this one as well. George brings out the sitar again for this track. I think he used it in the intro. He used the sitar. And I really like the chorus to it. Again, the chorus just has a real calming sort of sound to it, which again, I found very relaxing. I mean, George has always had that sort of relaxing type of voice anyway, so I think his voice definitely works for this type of songs. I really like the strings on here, as well as the keyboard. And apparently this was, from what I've researched, he actually had the idea and wrote the basic lyrics to this on his birthday. So yeah, I think that's kind of nice. So I really enjoy the song.
It's actually one of my favorites on the album. I think it's awesome. I love the way the song starts, and I think George did one of his better vocal performances here. I think George sounds great all over this album. I think he does great backing vocals as well. I think it's got great acoustic guitar playing. Yeah, the song's like it's like the sibling to "Here Comes the Sun." Just came out 10 years later.
Yeah.
The fourth track, the second to last song on the first side, is "Soft Hearted Hannah."
Now this song, I love this song. This is another one song I've always loved. It's so carefree. I love the sitar in it. George's voice on it. This is like a very fun song. I've always thought it was a cool song. I don't know. This is such an underrated song. I never hear anyone talk about this. This is so good. love this track to death. Every George Harrison playlist I would make, this song would always end up being on it. This and a couple of other ones will always be on my George Harrison / solo Beatle playlists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is a pretty fun song. I really enjoyed this one too. Apparently, I don't know if it's true, but apparently he wrote this. The idea came about when he was tripping on shrooms. Apparently, I don't know how accurate that is, but it can make some sense. But musically, this song's pretty interesting because it has almost like a ragtime feel, almost like a music hall vibe to it. And of course, the title of the song is supposed to be a play on an actual like ragtime song. I think it's basically the same song, only Hannah spelled differently. But I'm just going off what I remember. But yeah, there's some nice acoustic guitar playing. The backing vocals, which I believe were done by George as well, are very nice. Very interesting rhythm. Some nice horns and piano, and yeah, definitely has a much, I wouldn't say a dark vibe, but definitely a different, not quite as laid back as the previous songs. But yeah, I still quite enjoy this one.
Yeah, I think it's pretty great. I like the atmosphere on it. You can sort of hear an audience in the background. I think it's also just a very fun sounding song, and I think it's got a great horn arrangement. But it's not a track I revisit often, to be honest. I don't think it's one of the most memorable, but I still think it's pretty great though. But it's not one I choose to revisit that often. But the last song on the third side is the song "Blow Away."
This song's really good. This is I don't know if you guys know Sirius XM, but
Yeah.
my dad used to listen to the Beatles channel a lot, and of course they would play a lot of obviously Beatles stuff, Beatles channel, but they would also play solo Beatles stuff every once in a while. And there's even a channel, there's even a sub, like there's even a time of day where it's called Dark Horse Radio, and it's just the life and legacy of George Harrison. And one song that they played was this song, and I was like, I never heard this song before. It's really good. And my dad's like, you never heard this before? And he cranked up the volume, and I'm like, this is amazing. I'm like, what album is this on? And I looked it up, and lo and behold, I heard this album. I was amazed by it, and what a great song this is. This is definitely, I could definitely see why this is the most memorable off the album, like the one that people do talk about. This song is just, it sounds like something that would have been made if the Beatles were still together at this time. It sounds like a Beatles track. Obviously, a Beatle made this, but it sounds like something that, like, if the Beatles were to form again to make like an album, it sounds like a Beatles track, not a George Harrison track, but a Beatles track.
I can see that.
Yeah. But yeah, I love this song. Yeah, I didn't like pretty much this whole album. I was very new to. I hadn't heard anything from this album prior to this. But I was really enjoying it. And then you get to this song, and I was like, yeah, this is a really great song. This is probably the song I played the most when I first heard it. Again, I love the keyboard sounds to this one. The guitars sound very beautiful. I mean, George bringing his slide guitar playing, which was always very nice. Again, it's very catchy. I can see why this was the lead single for the album. George's backing vocals he does. Yeah, just a really fantastic little more commercial song for the album. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. This is definitely one of my favorites.
Well, it actually is my favorite song from the album. It's got my favorite chorus from the album.
Oh yeah.
I think it's got incredible lyrics as well. They can be very relatable, and I think they're quite clever as well. It's also got very, very good drumming as well. Like Andy Newmark, but I never heard of that man before.
No,
I'm not sure if he did any other drum work for George or not, but he did really good here. And I love the song that much that I was listening to it just before starting this live stream.
Yeah, I actually was listening to this song on my way to work. So yeah.
So that's it for the first side, and then move on to the second side with the track Faster.
Sorry, what was up? What's up?
We're on faster now.
Yeah, we're on faster.
Oh, faster. Yeah. This is such an underrated song on the album. This song is super underrated. When I first heard it, I'm like, "How's this the first time I ever heard this song?" I feel like this like the best three songs on the album go back to back to back. I'm just gonna say right now, "Blow Away," "Faster," and "Dark Sweet Lady." These are just top-notch George Harrison songs. This is definitely one of them. Such a good song. I love the beginning of it with a race car in the beginning, and then just like all the chorus of it, faster than an edge of gun. It's such a fun track. I love this song so much. It opens up side two so well.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think this is a pretty good song as well. Yeah. Again, it's about auto racing, so that's why it's called faster. And also it could be, from what I've read, some people can also interpret it like the struggles of maintaining success, because this was kind of written during a time where George was kind of not really so much in the public eye. He kind of decided to take a step back. And so yeah, so I can kind of see it being read as that as well. But yeah, it's a pretty good upbeat little pop rock song. And there's also some nice acoustic guitar playing in here as well with some nice strings. So yeah, I enjoyed the song. This is also really nice.
Yeah, I love this one as well. It's nice hearing the engine in the middle of the song. Yeah, well, it makes sense considering the song's called Faster.
Mhm.
But I love the orchestra arrangement by Dal Newman on it. I think the vocals match the orchestration very well. I'm not sure if this is to do with George Harrison's love for Formula One or not. Maybe that inspired the song, but I don't think it's a perfect song because I think it does get slightly repetitive towards the end of the song.
Mm.
So I think if it was shortened maybe about a minute, then it probably would be a 10 out of 10 track. But yeah, I still think it's an excellent one.
That's fair.
Then we got the track Dark Sweet Lady.
This is yet another incredible track. Such a when I was listening to this on my record player, I'm just like blown away. Like I know you said the faster was like a minute longer than it should have, but I feel like I said these three songs are just the cream of the crop of the album. Especially this song. This is probably my favorite song on the album. This is probably my favorite off the album. Not sure yet. I'm still trying to go over what I think is the best. Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite George Harrison songs. Period.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
See that?
It's
Mhm.
definitely up there with like songs like "What Is Life" and "My Sweet Lord" and all that. It's up there for me. It's such a great song. It's another song I've always really enjoyed from the first time I heard it to now. What a great track.
Mm. Yeah, this was another one of my favorites on this album. Of course, the Dark Sweet Lady is supposed to be about Olivia. So yeah, so it's a very sweet song. Another slower type of track. Also has a more kind of tropical vibe to it because they were vacationing. So, but besides that, there's some really great harp playing. That was a nice little touch. Bass playing was good as always. And I really like the guitar solo, which was done on acoustic guitar. It's always very nice. You don't hear very much acoustic guitar solos very often. But yeah, this is definitely a really great song. Very sweet. Again, another one of my favorites on this album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It's got brilliant acoustic guitar playing, and it's a brilliant love song as well. And also, the song also gives me like a European sort of vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with the vocals and the lyrics, I think George really means what he's singing here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very different sounding song to the rest of the album, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, I love the track "Dark Sweet Lady," and then the third to last track is "Your Love Is Forever."
Yeah, it's a pretty good song. I like it quite a bit. Uh, Not, I would say I wouldn't say it's as good as the three tracks that came before it, but this is still a really solid track. Um, Enjoyed it quite a bit while listening to it on my turntable. But yeah, pretty good.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I really enjoyed this one as well. Um, I read that this was originally supposed to be just an instrumental track, but the producer was like, yeah, maybe you should use some lyrics, and George was like, okay, and so he just kind of wrote the lyrics here, and they're kind of meant to be left ambiguous on who he's talking to. Some it's either a loved one, maybe Olivia again, or it could be God. George was always spiritual, so maybe it could be that as well. But yeah, this is another kind of slow, very chill song, using a different tuning on the guitars, and it's even kind of harkening a little bit back, a little bit on that his Indian influence that he's known for, just a little bit. I really enjoyed the guitar solo, the slide guitar, very great, and more of George's vocals here. Just another excellent vibe. I dig it.
Yeah, I dig it as well. I love the short but sweet guitar solo at the beginning of the track, and yeah, it's another brilliant love song on here. And it could be about God, or it could be about his wife eventually,
Mhm.
Olivia. And I think it's got a lovely use of a synthesizer as well. And it flew by when I was listening to it. It didn't feel like the length it was.
Mm. Mhm.
But we've got Mike here, Three Legends. Hello, Mike.
Hey.
Right, then we move on to the second to last track on the album, being Soft Touch.
Really good song. I like it better than the last track. That even though it's also a great track, but definitely brings it up a lot. Probably one of my five favorites. Really good song. Just I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but just a really good song. I just enjoyed it while I was listening to it.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I didn't have a whole lot to say. This one barely missed the top five, but yeah, I also really enjoyed this one. Um, Again, going back to that very tropical type of feel. Um, I love the blend with the acoustic and the electric guitars. I think they sound really great together. And once again, Steve Winwood is on this track, and he's providing some great keyboards here as well. Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot to say about it, but yes, I also really enjoyed it. Just another great vibe.
Yeah, I agree. It's got a quite tropical vibe to it.
Hmm.
I think it could be to do with the congas,
Yeah.
which Ray Cooper was doing.
Hmm.
But it's got great organ playing by Neil Larson. I think it's the happiest sounding song on the album. But I think overall that this side of the albums is filled with more love songs. I think than the
Mm.
first side is, but I don't think of that as a problem. And this just like the other track, it flew by when I was listening to it.
Hmm.
Then we move on to the final track on the album, being "If You Believe."
Yeah, it's a pretty good way to end off the album. Album starts off with saying the mood great, and I'd say this is like a great conclusion after eight great songs and after great songs after the great first song. So it's just like starts off great and mellow. The song ends off great and mellow. So very great album, Harrison. You
Hmm.
did great.
Hmm. Yeah, I also think it's a solid conclusion. Um, this is actually co-written. He co-wrote this song with Gary Wright, who also passed away earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, well-known keyboard player and even a successful solo artist. But yeah, and Gary is on the synth on this one, and sounds very good. Just this supposed to be a song mainly about faith, if you believe, that sort of thing. I love the layers of guitars on here. And you have that kind of big drum sound, almost ELO type, like almost like a Jeff
Mm-hmm.
Lynne type of drum sound, which I found interesting. Strings were great. Again, the song was kind of kind of has that wall of sound feel, like a Phil Spector production, which sounds really, which again I dig. But yeah, it's just a pretty good way to close out the album. It's not one of my favorite songs on the album, but like Nick said, it's a pretty great way to kind of close out.
Yeah, I agree. It's not one of my favorites either, but I still really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I still think it's pretty excellent track. But it definitely leaves the album on a good note for me. And yeah, of course, it was co-written by Gary Wright, who was he passed away at the age of 80.
Mm-hmm.
He also did the synthesizer on
Mhm.
this. Yeah, I think it's a great choice for an album closer, even though it's not one of my favorite songs for the album.
Mm-hmm.
But now I move on to what we give this album out of 10, and whether we think it's underrated, overrated, or properly rated. So you can go first, Nick.
I don't know what I gave it when I reviewed all, because if you didn't know, Adam, I reviewed every George Harrison album on my channel. I don't know where I rated this when I reviewed it. I'm assuming it's going to be what I rated it now. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I think every track is worth listening to. I had a blast listening to everything. And your question, is it overrated, properly rated, or underrated? I will go with a resounding underrated. I don't think much Harrison fans talk enough about this album. Most of the time when people think of George Harrison's albums, they think All Things Was Past and maybe Cloud Nine if we're lucky. But I feel like this album doesn't get the love it deserves.
Mm. Yeah. So for me, my rating, I'm going to, for right now, again, I can see it getting more, but right now I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Again,
Cool.
very enjoyable listen all the way through. Again, I had not heard any songs from this prior. I mean, I'm that person that Nick just described. All I knew before was All Things Must Pass and Cloud Nine. So it was kind of nice to kind of listen to a different George Harrison album. Yeah, I had a really good time with it. So 9 out of 10. And when it comes to underrated or overrated or properly rated, like I said, I'm probably not the best person to answer this because I haven't heard everything by George, but I'm just gonna go based on most people, because I've seen a couple people rank George Harrison's albums, and usually this one's kind of in the middle or close to the bottom. So, but yeah, I hear it and I think it's a good album. So I guess I'll give it an underrated as well.
Yeah, well, I think it's underrated, and I give it a 9.75.
Mm.
It's one of my favorite George Harrison solo albums.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is like either my second favorite or my third favorite. Like my second and third favorite is a toss up between this and 33 and a third.
I think this is my third favorite, behind Cloud Nine, and,
Yeah.
and All Things Just Pass is my favorite. But I might as well quickly rank the songs on the album. So my number 10 is Soft Hearted Hannah. My number 9 is Not Guilty. Number 8 is If You Believe. 7 Soft Touch. 6 Faster. 5 Dark Sweet Lady. 4 Your Love Is Forever. 3 Here Comes the Moon. 2 Love Comes to Everyone. And my favourite is Blow Away.
Yeah, very good. And I'll give mine as well because I do that. I do that anyway. So I'll give my ranking. So at number 10, I have If You Believe. Number 9, Faster. Number 8, Soft Hearted Hannah. 7, Not Guilty. 6, Soft Touch. 5, Love Comes to Everyone. 4, Your Love Is Forever. 3, Here Comes the Moon. 2, Dark Sweet Lady. And number 1, Blow Away.
Good.
That song blew us away.
Yeah, it definitely blew me away.
Yeah.
Mhm. My number 10 is going to be Here Comes the Moon. My number 9 is going to be Your Love Is Forever. My number 8 is going to be Not Guilty. Number 7 is going to be If You Believe. Number 6 is going to be Soft Hearted Hannah. Number Number 5 is going to be Soft Touch. Number 4 is going to be Love Comes to Everyone. And like I said, my top 3 favorite songs are basically back to back to back. But my ranking of the best 3 so far will be Faster at number 3, Blow Away at number 2, and Dark Sweet Lady at number 1.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And I might as well quickly rank all the albums that I've done this Under the Radar series. And at number 5, I've gone with Time Out of Mind by Bob Dylan, which I give a 9 out of 10. And at number 4 is Discovery by ELO, which I think in my review I gave it a 9.75, but I've brought it down to a 9.5 now. And my number 3 is George Harrison, self-titled, which of course I give a 9.75. And number 2 is Mystery Girl by Roy Orbison, which in my review I gave it a 10, but it's now a 9.75. Same goes for number 1 being Highway Companion by Tom Petty, because I made a decision to only have my top 25 albums being the ones to give it a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be giving away too many 10 out of 10s.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to limit my 10 out of 10s to only my top 100 albums now, which is still pretty generous, but I agree. I probably should limit the amount. And for like every album I give like 11 out of 10 would be like my top 25 albums.
Mm-hmm.
Like my top 25 albums to me are like really special.
Yeah.
I've got a tough question for you now, Bryer.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite of these 5 albums you've listened to in this Under the Radar series?
All right. Okay. So, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. Just kind of remembering. No, I think I am going to give I think my favorite was the George Harrison one. I think that's the one I kind of enjoyed the most. If I were to rank all the episodes I was on, I would go number 5. I'll probably go with Roy Orbison. Number 4 will be Tom Petty. Number 3 was Bob Dylan. Number 2 is ELO, and then number 1 is George Harrison. But overall, I really all 5 I've grown to enjoy, and now I own pretty much all 5 of them now. So
Yeah.
it was definitely nice to kind of branch out a little bit and explore, especially more of Tom Petty and more of Roy Orbison, because I never heard a full Roy Orbison album. But yeah, overall, this was a fun series. I'm very glad I got to participate in it.
Yeah. It's been great. I appreciate you being my co-host on this series.
It's nice to be on the episode.
It's the first time joining my channel, Nick.
Yeah.
So hopefully it won't be the last either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
If
I
people
want
watching this,
to be on your channel more.
Mm-hmm.
if people watching this haven't subscribed to Bryer or Nick, I've got their channels below. Please go ahead and subscribe to them. They're great guys in the vinyl community.
Pleasure
Thank
being
you.
on.
Yep.
So, Adam's gonna be on my channel because I'm on the Jimi Hendrix Experience's last album, Electric Ladyland, and that's my personal favorite album by him. So, who would not be better point than Adam? I would love to have him on for that. He'll be that'll be his first guest appearance on my channel. So, very excited.
Well, I think I might as well conclude the live stream here. Do you guys have any final words?
Not really. I just want to say this is just great being on your channel for the first time. Last time I was even on a video with you was for the police ranking, and
Yeah.
that was like the first time.
Yeah, that was quite a few months ago as well.
Yeah, I was like a while ago.
Yeah. I mean, final words for me. Just remember, love comes to everyone.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, peace out and ciao. Peace and love.